Dwayne Johnson is the only actor currently set to appear the live-action Moana remake, and there are a few reasons why no one else from the original movie's cast is returning. Johnson played Maui, the shape-shifter and demigod of the wind and sea, in the original Moana in 2016. He was a fan favorite both for Maui as a character and for the song You're Welcome, which garnered over 1.6 billion views on YouTube. Johnson's role in Moana was hugely popular, which made him an obvious choice to reprise his role for the live-action remake. Maui's popularity doesn't explain why other voice actors didn't make it into the cast of the Moana remake, though. Disney's live-action remakes often recast characters, but that's usually due to the time between the original and the remake, and to find actors who better represent their characters. Moana doesn't have those same problems, though. Most of its original cast was already made up of actors of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, and the remake only comes 10 years after the original first released. That makes it a bit confusing that only Dwayne Johnson got to reprise his role. Moana's live-action remake needs Dwayne Johnson's star power. Johnson was likely chosen to reprise his role as Maui because he'll be able to lend quite a bit of his celebrity status and star power to the Moana remake. He's been in some massive movies, from the Fast and Furious franchise to successful films like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle and The Mummy Returns. Johnson has also been a fairly consistent box office draw for the better part of 2 decades. His popularity has dipped recently, with films like Black Adam that failed to find a wide following, but he's still a household name. Moana could even break Johnson's box office drought. Part of Disney's decision to keep Johnson for the live-action Moana, aside from his box office earnings, was likely because of how well he fits the character of Maui. In real life, Johnson looks just like Maui, albeit without the same hair. Aside from Jason Momoa, there's really no other actor who could both match Maui's appearance and lend Johnson's level of popularity as an actor to the movie. Johnson also had an advantage over Momoa from the start, as he'd already played Maui before, and audiences would recognize his voice from the original Moana. Ollie Cravalho aged out of playing Moana in live action. Katie and Janice in the halls of the high school in Mean Girls 2024. One of the other most original Moana voice actors who seemed likely to return was Ollie Cravalho, who voiced the titular Moana. Cravalho's voice was a central part of Moana's character, and her stellar performance really brought Moana to life. Cravalho is even returning to the role for the upcoming Moana 2, so she seemed like a natural choice for the remake. She's even made a name for herself outside of animation, as she played Janice in the Mean Girls musical. That wasn't enough to land her a part in the Moana remake, though, but there is a good reason for that. Probably the biggest reason Cravalho wasn't chosen to reprise her role of Moana in live action is because she aged out of it. The original Moana came out on November 23, 2016, a day after Cravalho turned 16. Now, however, 8 years have passed, Cravalho is 23 years old, and she's too mature to convincingly play a young teenager. Moana's age is a central part of her story, as her teenage rebellion contributed to her decision to leave Motunui. To keep that part of the story intact, the Moana remake gave the role to Catherine Lagaya, a 17-year-old actor. Moana could have brought other actors back like Dwayne Johnson. While Cravalho has aged out of her role, other actors from the original Moana haven't, and they could have been recast for the live-action version. Temuera Morrison, for example, would have been a perfect pick. He played Chief Tue, Moana's father and leader of Motunui, in the original Moana. Morrison has obviously aged since 2016, he's now 63 years old, but since his character is already depicted as being a long-established leader, his age isn't nearly as important as Moana's is. Nicole Scherzinger, who played Moana's mother Sina, also could have been recast, and she's even younger than Morrison, at just 45 years old.